You're not a nice person.
Where's Brad?
He is at home.
Well, I'm not gonna have your police protection.
He's being bonbons.
Is that his favorite thing?
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta tell him. Bonbons? Are they still favorite thing?
Yeah. Can you get him something?
Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get him.
I had a great day. Great day. How about you? That doesn't mean it's good.
Have you met Tack yet? Have you met the new police officer?
It's going to be a long one for you today.
Tack. Well, when Brad wrote the name on
Now,
the
does
napkin
he
for
do like
Lanny, he
8 to
understands.
5 or?
His L looked like a C, so it was different. That's a very good thing for a police officer. You can't understand anything he writes or says.
Yeah.
No, because I'll just say
He was doing karaoke last night, so you put a microphone in front of him, he'll start singing. That's Dave.
When do I get a name tag?
You may not want to threaten me, but I may be a council person next time.
Couldn't you imagine?
I know you did.
Having him running around here?
my door has a lock.
No, I would quit. That's the first thing I would do as a council, take locks off your door. And you, I'd make sure you straightened up your office.
It's clean right now. It's pretty clean.
Hopefully,
And she just moved in.
my biggest hope is I hope you do it.
No, I said it's dirty right now too. It's work everywhere. I said she just moved in. Housekeeping had cases. They have really one more. But we have both of them. When the doors are shut, it looks like everything's in order. And then you open them and you close the door.
You buy my Christmas present yet? Where's my,
It's under that tree back there.
where's my bag of Tootsie Rolls?
They're gone. We gave them out at trunk or treat.
I've been over there since.
No, you're not. No.
I know, it's been a while.
I've been invited.
What is it?
No, probably not since it's Halloween, no.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, everyone. We are so happy that you all have come to the first of many mayor, council, and staff Q&As. As there's in the back there is a list of each month what we're going to sponsor. Hopefully, you'll pick one of those up. I'm going to introduce everybody in case you don't know everybody. Councilman Dave Brown.
Hello.
Our city manager, Jennifer Kidd Harrison. Jen Williams, city clerk. Tiffany, finance Tiffany. Make sure you have questions for her. So this is, let me talk about the purpose of this first and the goal. We wanted to make the first mayor Q&A open questions so that we can know what you want to know and what you want to hear so we can plan the future ones for your interest. So that's what today's is about. It's open-ended. You could ask any of us anything, and we will do our very best to answer all your questions. So that's the intent for today. I don't have anything to start with. I really wanted to turn it over to you to ask your questions, but let me ask council and staff if they have anything they want to add.
Not right now, no. Just want to answer your questions.
Just here to help any way I can. Questions?
Jen, anything you want to add? Oh, one thing, Jen is going to be taking questions from our live feed also. Yeah, isn't that great? That's a first for us, and I'm really excited about that. Okay. Okay. You'll pass the questions to us as we get them, yes? Okay. And of course, Tiffany would love to answer any of your finance questions. So we're going to open it up to you, let you all get started with questions. Phil, do you want names, Jen, so I can give them to you? For each person, is that how you want to? Hold on one second, Phil. Is that how you want to do it? Also, Jen is here. She's going to be writing minutes, which also is going to be the first time we're going to actually have minutes for our Q&A for those who cannot attend or don't want to watch it live or later. They can actually look at minutes, what was discussed. Depending on how many people ask questions, it will be quite a long item. We'll start with names, and if it gets too crazy, we can just say from the audience or something. Does that work? Okay, so this is Phil. After you just say your name for Jen so she can document it.
Rich Miller.
Oh, stop it. That's not true.
Phil Alonji. Or whatever.
Can you speak up so the mics can pick you up?
Okay, I have a voice issue, so I'll sound like I'm yelling, but I don't mean to. Thanks. Okay, for some of us that are fairly new, can you explain the current process of things being brought to the council, the mayor and the council for action? What's the steps that are taken, whether it's zoning, permits, or whatever activities are presented to the council? How's that work?
That's a great question. I'm going to defer to our city manager because she's been doing it certainly a lot longer than I've been involved. So do you mind, Jennifer?
Sure, my pleasure. So let's just say a development wants to come to the city of Houston. The first thing they do is they will meet with our city planner, Dr. Jerry White. Jerry takes the bulk of it. He makes sure that everything just lines up just right. He checks all the boxes off. We are certainly spoiled with Jerry White as our city planner. He takes a lot off of staff and mayor and council. Once it goes to him, and he's very tedious, and once it goes through him, then it will come as a public hearing item, maybe, if it needs a rezoning or so forth, and that goes before the council. It gets on the agenda, goes to the council on a public hearing. We have to do certain notifications by law, and after it's gone through the public hearing process, which is presented to the council at that time, then it will go on to the voting session, and then they vote for it.
So you're going to what?
The voting session, which is our Monday meetings.
What happens to the work session?
Well, the public hearing, the work session follows the public hearing, so there's nothing, you're basically just repeating yourself because public hearing, you adjourn and go right into the work session. So it's like you're having another public hearing per se. So we don't do, now if it was a different day that the public hearing and the work session, I think we would obviously want to put it on the work session just to refresh our memory of the project. But because they back up, one to the other in the same meeting, we just continue to the work or to the regular session.
Okay, now I'm sorry, but is there a process, like a chart or a flow we can follow the steps and know the progress or how it's going? Because I thought I understood, I could be wrong, it's a work session, the council meets with the mayor, they review it all, they make a decision, and then at the actual council meeting, it's just a rubber stamp, it's stamped.
Well, and that's
It shouldn't be that way.
All discussion is
Right.
over after the work session, right?
right. So, and you're right. at the regular session, there's really not a discussion again. Unless, I don't know if you came to the last regular session when we had that last Monday, meeting. We kind of almost had another work session, because there was, a subject with the corridor maps, and our mayor felt like we needed more explanation so that they could make good and wise, decisions as far as their vote. I do know, and I'll let Mayor Martin talk more about it. I know that they do want to change their procedures, and that is truly up to the mayor and council make the procedures and policies, and we enforce them. So I know that they are wanting to change the way that we do our procedures right now, and I'll let Councilmember Brown or Mayor Martin talk about the procedures that they are wanting to put in place.
I'm sorry, Jennifer, just one last.
Yeah, go ahead.
When somebody walks in, a developer or whatever, zoning or whatever,
Mhm.
and is handed over to the contracted city planner, does he follow the city's regulations and guidelines? I mean, what's the
Absolutely.
ground rules as far as other agencies reviewing it, like environmental or DOT, that kind of what?
Mhm.
Where's those steps?
Yep, so there's zoning codes that he abides by. And again, I don't know if you've met Dr. White, but I would put him against anybody in the state of Georgia. He is a rule follower. He goes exactly by the rules in the book and our codes, and then he presents as so. Again, if you've met Dr. White, you know that there's no gray with Dr. White. It's either black or white, and he tells you as our codes. He goes exactly by our codes. Now, when it gets to the mayor and council, let's say our codes say this, and he presents it just as so. The mayor and council, though, can say, I don't really like that condition. We are going to vote to scratch that off. They have that right to do that, but it's in the report as it's supposed to be. But they are the only ones that can change that.
Jennifer,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say also, Dr. White, presents to the council, it's in their agenda packet each week, which they get about a week before the work session meeting, for all of these applications, the zoning administrator's report, so that details all of his findings, maybe researching the history of the property, what the developer is actually asking for, and then he, at the end, or at some point, he makes a recommendation as to approve or deny, maybe approve with conditions, each development there. So they're not seeing it for the very first time in the public hearing or work sessions. They do get the information beforehand, and then have time to look it over, and then discuss it.
Yeah, so we actually give it to them the Thursday prior to the public hearing.
And it's published for the public.
And it's also published for the public. And I will say, I'll give kudos to Ms. Brown, because that was one of her suggestions, and that was a great suggestion. And when she did suggest that to us, we did do that. So y'all could see what was exactly what the mayor and council is seeing a week prior. So when they get it, y'all get it at the same time.
But then you're giving it to us as a courtesy, or you're obligated to?
No, it's a courtesy.
Okay, we need to have an obligation.
Well, it's not by law that we have to do it, but we do it.
What law?
I'm saying there's not a law that we have to give you the full packet. We have to give you the agenda. That is law.
What law? The city law, the state law, the county law, what law?
No, it's a state law.
State law.
Mhm. But we do give you the packet, because that's a good time for y'all to, we love to hear from each individual. If y'all might see something that we didn't see, and so it's so nice that it can be a group effort. And when you might say, did y'all consider this while y'all were looking at the packet? And we'll say, what, we did not consider that.
I think what
But
you've seen in the past, excuse me, Jennifer, is we're quiet. It's been very quiet up here. There's no communication amongst mayor and council with the city planner, or even EMI, Jerry Hood, the
Engineer.
city engineer. That, hopefully you saw last meetings, that's changing. We need to discuss it up here amongst all of us so that we don't have side meetings outside of the audience, outside of you. And that, hopefully you're seeing that we're changing that.
Phil, another thing that we're talking about, it's not in the system. We know the system is not perfect, and we know there's a lot of room for improvement. One of the areas that they alluded to earlier was that our engineers follow codes, laws, rules, and regulations. The mayor here and the council has come up and said, well, we need to follow more than that. We need to also follow what you've all asked for and the city and what we need. So we're trying to put together to where we'll come to a point to where we will have a package that we will give to Jennifer. So when a developer comes in, she will give that package to the developer and say, this is our bare minimums. Instead of them coming in and saying, this is what we want. We're going to tell them what we want. And this is what you need to do and so forth. And if you don't meet the minimums, don't even submit the package. Those minimums will be things like, does our sewer meet it? Does our water meet it? Do our streets fit okay? And all that. And also, there was a survey that went out about, was it 3 months ago or so?
Yes.
About 3 months ago, and Debbie's got, the mayor's got it on her agenda.
You can call me Debbie.
It's going to be difficult for me, guys. The mayor has it on her agenda that we're going to talk about that. But one of the things that came out of that is some of the stuff that you wanted as a city and wanted to get to, and that's going to be part of that package that we're trying to put together. So it is a learning curve. What we currently have, it does meet all the codes, meets all the rules and regulations, but it really doesn't meet all the needs and wants.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get that blended in as well.
Also, to circle back to one of your questions, reaching out to for impact from the fire department is exceptionally important. The police department, that's also very important, and DOT, that's very important. And I think they did a really good job getting that input on, was it the Kennerly property?
Yes, the Kennerly.
The Kennerly property. That was really good. And the city planner took that to heart. How do I pick? Oh, gosh, Jack, thanks. Who's in the back here? Ace? Ace. Can you state your name just for Jen, just in case?
Ace DeVito. My question has to do with HR and budget for the city, and I applaud the city in their concern for managing overtime. But to pull on that thread, so in the last Downtown Development Authority meeting, there was a discussion, and I'm just throwing it out there because I want to understand, about moving it from 6 o'clock in the evening to 3 o'clock in the afternoon in order to reduce overtime, which I applaud, and I certainly understand that, to keep the costs down. My question is there consideration of, for those city employees, to adjust their day to come in at noon so that overtime is not an issue? Because I do understand about maintaining the budget, and I'm all for that. I'm fiscally conservative, but by the same token, I don't want to disillusion the public if they're not available to come at 3 o'clock, but they're available to come at 6, which to me seems like a reasonable time. I just throw that out there, not looking for an answer, just for consideration that that's something that can be done.
We're looking at each other because we've had this conversation also. Do you want me to speak, or do you want to speak? I agree with you. It's up to Jennifer. She is the city manager to adjust staff's time. I don't think a 3 o'clock, although there's other cities that do 10 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon. Our city has gotten used to evening meetings. I would prefer it stay that way. I am meeting with the chairman this coming Tuesday to follow up on that discussion. But I appreciate your input. Do you want to add anything to that?
I couldn't have said it any better. We are taking all considerations, and we do at this time, we do adjust the time for the employees. We do value your opinion, and thank you for letting us know.
Scott Butler, you had your hand up?
Yeah. So, Scott Butler. To gentleman was talking about, Dr. Jerry White, from personal experience, this is not me speaking, this is an attorney that represented us against something that was in Jackson County. He's probably the top 2 planning and zoning persons in the state of Georgia, quite possibly in the United States of America. So he's great at planning and zoning. And he gives the staff, our elected officials, a wonderful report based on planning and zoning. What he doesn't do is provide any kind of SWOT analysis of what that project would be the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to the city, if it gets approved, as he says so or not. So our council members then have to go on their own to determine what the strengths of any given project are for the city, what the weaknesses would be of the city, what the opportunities and threats are. I think our leadership that are paid should provide that kind of analysis and make it available to us so the citizens can know if this project gets approved, how's it gonna impact our lives from a time standpoint, getting back and forth to work, dropping kids off at school, what's the impact gonna be on our debt situation as a city if we have to spend $30 million on a wastewater treatment plant expansion. Jerry White doesn't provide any of that. That's something that our city manager and finance person would have to provide. Another thing would be, like this last meeting, I give y'all great kudos. That was the best meeting we've had in years. In terms of actually discussing the issues.
Thank you.
I applaud y'all for making that meeting actually a functional meeting where we heard different parts of that. But there's an opportunity cost for every decision that's made. And so, and that's whether it be the corridor maps and not asking the developers and the landowners to pay for that and putting that burden back on the city. Because when you start trying to acquire rights of ways and paying, I just saw where Gwinnett County is paying $10.6 million to widen 124 and a 1 mile stretch of road. So when you start having to widen roads, because we're pumping 6,000 more houses toward a school system, we don't ask the developers to pay. You're asking me to pay, my daughter to pay, everybody in this room to pay. And I just think that's on the staff to provide the elected officials with an opportunity cost assessment of what this means that you're voting on. Because you're not just voting to do a project, you're voting to potentially go into debt and asking us to pay so those developers can walk away with millions of dollars.
Yeah, what's the full impact is what you're saying.
That's what I'm asking.
So with that, I'm going to piggyback on that. Dave and I brought, as you know, Councilmember Brown, and I brought to the agenda this month, still November, isn't it? To reinstate planning and zoning. It did not get passed. It did not get passed. However, January, I would expect that we'll see that again, and that will help Scott, right? So this is the way I understand that process, is Jerry White's, our city planner, will get it and work with our Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission and Jerry, they will have meetings with you. We might sit in the audience, but we will not participate in, I was trying to find that word, participate in the meeting. Not until after all of that has been flushed out, including impacts to police, fire, DOT, will it even come to mayor and council. So we're planning on that in January.
And by the way, once we plan on it, and if it comes in January, we will need volunteers for that planning and zoning. So if there are people interested, spread the word.
Yeah. It will take a bit to appoint people, appoint a chair, and get them going. We also have already put in our budget, right, Tiffany, for training for a planning and zoning commission. Is that correct? It's still in the budget? Okay, good, good, good. I saw a hand over here. I also saw one here. I forgot. Was it?
Answer my question about the planning and zoning.
Okay, great.
Bob,
Ne-
maybe piggyback on the planning and zoning.
Can you give the name for Jen, please?
Joe Sullivan. Is that Cushman employees, is that a third-party vendor? What is planning and zoning?
It's a group of volunteers, hopefully, not hopefully, citizens, Houston citizens that have experience in this kind of area. That's what I'll be looking for. The people who apply their applications, do we have those in the back still? Okay, great, they're in the back. We'll come to Jennifer and I for us to review and then discuss with our city planner and we'll make decisions from that point. There, Scott Quarter in the back, he's holding up one right now.
So I add one to that.
Yes, please.
So I've been coming to these meetings for several months, half a year, whatever it's been. There seems to be obviously a lot of challenges with the amount of growth coming at one time. Is there any discussion of hiring a third-party consultant to look at the big picture from 70,000 feet? Because I've heard about bypasses, water and sewer, and it just seems like a lot for Jerry to take on, and even volunteer. Is there any, are we looking at a professional team, or look at the whole thing, or what's the big picture?
We are. Jennifer and I have been discussing bringing in somebody to look at our capital improvement on a 5-year plan, possibly a 10-year plan. Also to look at maintenance and operation. We have a meeting set up next week already, right? With one, I had a meeting, Tuesday with another, so it is in the works, and everything defers to Tiffany. We're looking for finances to get put in the budget, right, Tiffany? Okay. So yes, that's our plan.
And the bypass part that you're talking about, that we really don't have a lot of control. That's the Georgia DOT. But it was 2 weeks ago that they came and presented 6 different plans. And they're looking at everything from, I think one of them was $832 million down to, it was around $76 million, to where they're not trying to go around Houston, but they're trying to take the traffic like semi-trucks and so forth around us and work with Brazelton and the other communities, but keep 53 where it's still usable for families, outside people in Brazelton and everything for commercial use. So that's taking place as well.
So Jennifer and I are working with the DOT. The presentation that Dave is referring to was fabulous. It was eye-opening. Now, some of those projects were not going to be completed until, are you ready for this? 2050. Yes. However, if all of you are still here, or some of you are still here, Jennifer and I have reached out to the people who presented to come to Hushin and make that wonderful presentation that they did to us, to all of you. And we're hoping to schedule that March, April, or May. So we're working on it. We are working on it. Yes, Dee?
Got a question. Oh, thanks, you know my name.
Oh,
My question is about the properties that the city has purchased that are sitting. I'd like to know what the plans are going forward. One of my main concerns is the Mulberry property, because to me, living in the village at Houston, going down Broad Street, following it down, it is an eyesore.
Yeah, it really is.
I know we have a $500,000 grant, which will be just probably drop in the bucket, so to speak. can we at least level the gravel that's there? Take the door off of the outdoor building. I mean, just clean it up a bit. I wouldn't think it would take that much, and maybe to put a sign out there, future home of Mulberry Park.
The sign's a good idea, actually.
At least when people drive by, they'll take a look at that property and see, well, it's just not a piece of rundown property, which it is.
Which it is, yes.
You know, and then have that sign up there to.
I love the idea of the sign. That's a great idea.
Mulberry Park. Along with that, without taking up too much time, because I'm sure there's other questions here. Along with that, of course, is Larry's Garage, the white elephant. And then, which I could elaborate on, but I won't take the time tonight. The other thing is Oak Street Community Garden. Has a study been done as far as the feasibility, the being realistic about there being a community garden there? Correct me if I'm wrong with I checked the parcels of land. There's 9 parcels that are owned by the city. I don't know how many parcels would be allocated to this community garden, but wouldn't those parcels serve a better purpose for maybe buildings, shops? I mean, if we're talking about the ultimate plan being a walkable Pushton, that there be shops back there instead of a community garden, so that we would have places to rent to bring in revenue. And therefore offsetting the community garden. And again, I looked at the charrette that UGA did on the Mulberry property, that maybe a community garden could be incorporated into that. Just thinking, to bring in more money, revenue for the city, is there a better purpose for that?
So I heard 3 things: Mulberry, Larry's Garage, and Oak Street. Let's go to Mulberry first. I know that's going to happen in 3 phases. Yes, we do have a grant for that. We are currently, what's the status of phase 1? I know we just had to resubmit for, right?
So we will know something by spring, as far as when the funding is going to get to us.
Yeah, so February is the deadline. It's kind of when you will be, I guess, allocated the money for the grant. So, yes, it's been set aside. We have been, quote unquote, awarded it. There's just kind of some other hoops because of the house on the property, and having to clean up some things from the application, that all that will be finalized. So probably spring, we should see that money. And we have allocated a little over $500,000 to start on the property next year. So you probably will see a lot of things happening going forward on the property. There is a lot of cleanup that has to happen. There's a lot that environmentally that you have to do. Like, they make you go in such baby steps that it looks like nothing's happening. So I promise it is behind the scenes, and it's just as aggravating for us. But hopefully by next summer, once they start, it's kind of a match grant, so once we start moving on it, hopefully y'all will be able to see something going forward with it.
And we are doing it in 3 phases. So the first phase, which you'll see next year, is the walkable trails, which are going to be so nice. The second phase is the playground, and this will host kids from small to middle school. So it'll be 2 playgrounds kind of put together. And then the third phase is, which is what we call it's the 3rd year, is the amphitheater. So that will be right behind the house. If y'all want to see the concept plan, is everybody set up with MailChimp? Okay, before you leave, give Jen your email. we send everything on MailChimp. It's a big blast to your email. Get that to her. I will give her the concept plan tomorrow, and she'll put it on MailChimp. That way y'all can see it. Is that okay with you, Mayor?
Yes, please.
Is that
And we'll
the
just have estimated costs for each phase.
Yes, so we're working out the cost right now, on that. We're going through Brewer Engineering, and I don't know what is
I
the
think our out of pocket
status.
will be a little over $1 million out of pocket.
Yeah, it was,
At completion.
Supposed to be, yes. I mean, barring any hiccups or things that come up that, you know, we're unaware of right now. But with the grant, I think we were looking at about 1.6,
mhm.
give or take, so hopefully it'll be just over $1 million.
And keep in mind, that's not restoring that house. It's everything but restoring that house. So we still gotta figure out, mayor and council, will hopefully we're working on a date for a retreat, and they can discuss what they wanna see with that house.
Also, next year, if you recall, this past year, each of the council members and the mayor were assigned a specific area. One was economic development, one was parks and recs, one was facilities, one was cemetery, and one was DDA. Thank you. That will happen again in January. Each of the council members will be assigned a project that they're responsible for, and to report on it monthly to you, and to us and to you. Parks and Rec's definitely up there. We've been talking about this for quite a long time.
D, there are some openings on the DDA. You would be good for it.
Jen, could you put in the notes D, Poteet, DDA? Thank you. Did you have a question in the back?
And when we came here, we loved all the different trees, the deer. We drive by different lots, and we say to ourselves, wonder what they're gonna put there. They're gonna tear all the trees down, and wonder what's gonna be built there. Or we'll say, whose bright idea was that to put that there? You know, and my question is, I wanna know, I see where we are now, where we've been in the 1800s. Where are we going? What is Houston supposed to be? Because when we came here, we thought it was a nice little country place. It was beautiful, trees, and it was just gorgeous. Deer, no more deer. They're all dead. They're on the side of our street.
No, they're in Scott Butler's front yard, I'm pretty sure. Oh, maybe Tina Brown's front yard too.
But I want to know when my family say, you know, about Houston, I don't want to go back to what it was. I want to know where are we and where we're going. Are we going to look up and we're going to have a hotel on the lot down on 53? I mean, is there going to be gas stations? Is there going to be restaurants? You know, warehouses, which I already know. Who are we?
Yeah, and we don't have an identity right now. I agree with that. This is one of the items that Jennifer and I have talked about adding to our retreat with the new council. 3 of those people on the council are 4-year terms. The rest of us, Councilmember Brown and I, are 2-year terms. We have got to, in this time, establish what we want Houston to be known for. If it's small town, then it's small town. If it's commercial and 5 grocery stores on 53, then whatever, we have to identify what that is.
And do we have a model?
There are lots of models out there. Have you been to Monroe? Oh, a motto. Do we have a motto?
Houston, the city of.
Right now, it's what's happening. What's happening in Houston is our motto right now, but that's the question. That's the question. What's happening?
Well, we want people to move in, we gotta be more positive.
Yes. We do need to go back to Dee's other 2 questions, though.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been here developer that developed our neighborhood lived in the community. The builder that built our house lived in the community. His sons that worked for him lived in the community. The people that put in the water pipes lived in the community. The people that ran the electricity lived in the community. So the profits of the development stayed in the community. Nowadays, we've got developments that are happening where the landowner sells the property, they move to Lake Lanier or wherever else they want to go, and then all of the workers, my daughter bought a house in Twin Lakes, so going over there when she was buying the house, every tag of every worker, Gwinnett County, DeKalb County, Fulton County, it's not Jackson County. Maybe something that when your planning and zoning commission is put into place, because they're supposed to be apolitical and look at the future of what we're doing, we put something in there that, I mean, Houston can't obviously provide building materials, but the area around us and Jackson County can provide electricians, HVAC people, and maybe there's some requirement that if you're gonna come in and develop here, you have to hire people from here, so that the money stays. Right now, let's say you have a 200-unit development, houses 350,000, that's, what, 70 million? That all leaves here. All Houston ends up getting is 250 houses for people with mortgages up to here. And people with mortgages up to here don't have a lot of disposable income to come spend at restaurants. But if we were hiring people in the community, then the restaurants that are here would have money, disposable income to spend.
Yeah, heard.
That's
a good idea.
I don't know if that sort of answers some of the questions.
Do we have to have a developer? It doesn't sound like this news. Do we have to have a developer, I mean, like, you know what I mean?
Well, they've already approved 6,000 houses in the last 12 months, so they're gonna have some.
Can we put a cap on the population?
Good, Mr. Brown up there and Ms. Martin proposed that at the last meeting, but it was not budget properly.
I do want to get back to these two other things. I did want to say one more thing about your question, though. Because if I don't write down, I'll forget, so I have to do it now. It's not what mayor and council wants for the city, by the way. It's what you want us to do for you, for the city. It's not our decision. It's your decision. So when at that time,